One of the great scorers of all time, future Hall of Famer. Still weird when I watch the Wizards play and I go, Paul Pierce in a Wizards uniform. Paul joins us now. You gotten used to that Wizards uniform, Paul?
Yeah, I like the colors, man. You know, we America's colors, so I think they look good on me.
Best uniform in the NBA right now, aside from the Wizards, so you can't use that.
Man, the best uniform?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm going to go with the Celtics, man. Just the classic green and white.
Take me back to, and I don't know if I got this right, but I'm going to try. 1995, McDonald's All-American Slam Dunk Contest. Was that right?
Yes.
Okay. Who's in the Slam Dunk Contest with you?
It's me, Vince Carter, Chris Clack, and the guy, I believe it was Albert White.
Was Kevin Garnett in there?
No, Kevin wasn't in the dunk contest.
Okay. When you saw Vince, now you were a great dunker in college, but when you saw Vince Carter, was it different?
I never seen nobody jump like that before. See, people don't understand the first dunk contest Vince won when he was in the NBA. He did the same dunks in the high school dunk contest. So people don't understand. Like, I saw this before, but it just people didn't know, and it was just amazing. I never saw anybody with his leaping ability, the way he floats, and with the grace and style that he had outside of Michael Jordan, and for a kid in high school, was amazing.
But can you? I'm trying to think of somebody who did he jump higher than anybody, or what was it about Vince Carter with this ability to dunk?
Well, he not only jumped higher, but it was just his style and his flair. You know, you have a lot of high flyers, but they're not really dunk contest material. It was just like he had so much grace with his acrobatics in the air that it just made it, that much more amazing. And that's why they called him half man, half amazing.
What is the most overrated quality characteristic? Like when you look at a great NBA player, there are people who have certain qualities, but we tend to overrate certain things. What would be the one thing you think is overrated when it comes to playing in the NBA?
I think a lot of these young, talented kids are just rated on their just pure, like, length and athleticism, but really no basketball IQ, really no footwork, really can't shoot the ball. So, when they look at a guy, they say he has potential, he's fast, he has long arms, he can jump. And then he gets out there, he can't throw a rock in the ocean, or he can't run a play, and, or his basketball IQ is low. So I think those things sometimes get overrated, and a lot of kids get drafted just based on that.
But I couldn't imagine you coming up with this generation, Paul. I
probably wouldn't have got drafted.
Why is that?
No, I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff is based on potential, or I probably would have went later in the first round or something. It's just like it's amazing how many, this draft class was definitely supposed to be one of the great draft classes of this era. And as you see, I really don't see nobody in this class really standing out so far, even though it's only been 10 games. But, unlike the LeBron class where you had a number of franchise guys, you just kind of knew that class was going to be great. But, this class has been dubbed the same thing based off potential, and we haven't really seen much of it yet.
But when you're not friendly, though, with the other guys on the other team, are you?
Not really. I think I come from more of the old school. I grew up watching a lot of the 80s games where guys were rivals, real rivals. And, I'm just sitting watching how, guys hated each other. They want to beat each other. It was a dislike for one another because everybody wanted to win so bad. Now, this generation is more guys are friends. Guys work out in the summertime together, guys that should be rivals with each other. When you see guys like Melo, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Derrick Rose, Westbrook, these guys all work out together. You never would have probably saw that in the 80s and the 90s.
Were you a Laker fan growing up?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I lived like less than a mile from the Forum, went to school down the street, and plus we didn't have cable, so we only got the local channels. And so all we could watch was the Laker games.
But how tough was it to put on Celtic green?
Man, that was hard. When I got drafted by the Celtics, I was in disbelief because I never worked out for the Celtics, and that was the team I hated the most. And I was just kind of like, I was in shock.
How did that go over back home?
You know what? You truly found out who were really your friends. You was like, everybody in my neighborhood, a lot of people grew up Laker fans, and then once their boy from Inglewood, California, gets drafted to the Celtics, you want to see who was going to really be loyal to you, who was going to come to the Laker game in a Celtic uniform, and that's what I found out who my true friends were.
Okay, if it's the 80s, mid-80s, and Larry Bird's walking down the street in Inglewood going to have lunch, what would the reaction have been?
And they probably would have robbed him, man. They probably would have beat him up. I mean, he couldn't. I don't think he would have been able to go. He probably wouldn't be able to go anywhere in Inglewood. I mean, because him and Magic, the rivalry, everybody hated the Celtics. I mean, that wouldn't have happened.
Man, but it was like I tried to tell people what a real rivalry was back then. I mean, McHale doesn't even get thrown out of the game when he clotheslines Kurt Rambis. I mean, if you did that now, you're down for what, 10 games or more?
Down at least 10 to 15 games if that happens today.
Explain to me the Derrick Rose comments that he said that he's kind of pacing himself. You're a guy who's played with injuries, played a long time. Do you respect those comments, or would you have kept those to yourself?
I think it kind of came out the wrong way. Everybody kind of understood what he was trying to say, but like I said before, man, this is a new generation. These guys. It's not like before where you put the spray on the knee and you get out there and play, or you get a bubblegum wrapper, tape it to your elbow, and go out and play. I mean, it's not the same, And like I said, it's a newer generation. And, guys are more looking for the long run and looking to play. They play longer careers now. So, and plus what he's been through. He's been through a lot of different injuries. So, he's trying to be cautious in what he does, and I understand that. But it's probably what he said didn't come out the right way.
Can you imagine if he said this like 10 years ago?
Well, he's getting a lot of backlash for it right now. I mean, especially with the social media and how, everybody perceives people. He would have probably got a label 10 years ago. But, like I said, it's a newer generation.
Do you envy Kobe's NBA record with the most missed shots in NBA history?
Hey, you know what Danny Ainge used to always tell me? He said, the most important statistic is FGA, and Kobe has the record. That's why he's one of the great. That's why he's one of the great players in this game. As you know, Danny himself wasn't shy getting enough shots, but he used to always tell me that.
Well, hey, I think it's a great record. You got to be great to have the most missed shots in NBA history. Because if not, you're not around long enough to have the most missed shots in NBA history.
Right. That's the ultimate green light right there. I mean, coaches don't let players get away with that unless you're capable of making a lot of shots. And even though he has the most missed shots, he has these top 5 made the most field goals. So he's earned that, man. Kobe is one of the greatest players ever played this game.
Most shots you took in a game, you remember?
I think the most shots I took was 34. I probably only took 30 shots maybe 3 times.
36 in a double overtime game against Cleveland. I got you in 2006.
36. That's tough. Arms get tired. I can't believe Kobe doing that at this age, too.
That's when I tell people that the energy that you expend when you're the guy who has to shoot 25 or 30 times a game, because I forget what it was. Somebody Bomani Jones got into a little Twitter back and forth with Phil Jackson, and Phil said, look, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of talent to squeeze off 36, 37 shots. And I agree, because they're expecting you to shoot. Everybody knows you're going to shoot, but you're still trying to get those shots off, and that's what amazes me about. I mean, Kobe had 44 the other night.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. He's one of the great athletes. I mean, like I said, he's an amazing player, man. He's the player of this generation that all the kids look up to, that want to be like him. It's like just to be able to make that attempt is amazing. You got to have the legs, you got to have the strength. And we're talking about a guy who's coming off an Achilles tear injury. That's what makes it even more fascinating. I'm
always fascinated with scorers. Are you a shooter or a scorer?
I think I'm more of a scorer. I don't rely on one phase. A lot of guys, you have the three-point shot, you have mid-range guys. I'm more of a scorer because with my ability over the years to get to the basket, to get to the foul line, to shoot the three, mid-range. So I'll probably be labeled more as a scorer.
And you got to be cutthroat, though. Like, you can never be satisfied. Did you ever take it easy on a defender?
Oh, not at all. And not at all. I mean, when you knew when you had somebody weak, you was going to go at him all night.
Give me somebody who's out of the league who you knew they were going to be weak, and you were going to give them 30.
Man, that's a tough one. Let me see who's out of the league.
Yeah. Just to be fair, I mean, you can say who's in the league, but I mean, come on, you should have a laundry list of these guys, Paul.
It was like second nature for me to go out, in my younger days and get 30. It was no need for a list that I just knew night in and night out this guy was going to get it.
Okay, but who did you know when you stepped on the floor and you go, man, that guy, I'm putting 30 up on him?
Well, the guy I wanted to put 30 up on the most was Ron Artest, a.k.a. World Peace, all the time when he was in Indiana, because we used to have some pretty tough battles.
Was he crazy?
I think he is just a competitor, man, at a different level. He I wouldn't call it crazy. I think he was just like basketball psycho, maybe. I don't know.
He didn't make you nervous?
Not really. Not on the court. I mean, maybe off the court if I saw him walking down the street. I don't know.
Except for Inglewood. If he's in Inglewood, you're right in Inglewood. KG he would strike me as a guy who was always trying to intimidate. But you were teammates. Did he ever yell at you?
Oh, we got into a couple of yelling matches, man. But that was just us. We like brothers, man. I've been knowing KG since we was like 15. We definitely got into a couple of yelling matches. Neither one of us will back down. But then afterwards, we'll talk about it, hug, and it'll be over with. It's like a big brother, little brother thing.
Do you remember Chris Mannix as a ball boy with the Celtics?
I definitely remember Chris.
Was he any good?
Terrible. He would just stand there. He wouldn't rebound, just stand there all the time. Like, come on, Chris, what are you doing?
So, I mean, he was getting paid to be a ball boy. Did you
I know that was crazy. And then when I saw him come to the game, he had a tie on, and I was like, "What you doing?" He had his glasses, and I was like, he had a recorder, and I'm like, "What you doing? Go get some balls off the rack."
Keep shooting, Paul. Always great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Man. It's good to hear from you, Dan.
All right, that's Paul Pierce, Wizards forward. That's fun.